Representative Bell, Senator Cameron, and committee. My name is Pat Bowler. I've been a classroom teacher in Minidoka County for 37 years. In that time, I have never sought a position in administration, as I always knew my calling was in teaching children. I have been involved with the IEA for that entire time, but I assure you that my genetics have always compelled me to seek what is best for education. And while my concerns today may reflect some of those expressed by my Teachers Association, school district, and educational colleagues, I want to be heard as an advocate for those who are not here today, the children of this state whose futures will be determined in part by the financial decisions to be made by this committee. Through my years as a teacher, I have seen the conventional wisdom of education in a predictable state of philosophical change. I have watched as vendors and self-interested institutions develop any number of methods intended for improving education, selling programs to enhance learning, quantified by any number of purported studies. As these innovations come and go, my years have taught me that some things remain the same, that children, as developing and maturing human beings, require the same kind of educational nurturing as they require in their maturity as people. That is, a human involvement in their learning, a sincere concern for their well-being, and a love and dedication in the purpose of educational achievement. Education is a direct contact with teachers and students in classrooms, where that contact can be both meaningful and focused on the needs of children. Quality of education requires a dedication of time to individual students, recognition of needs, and an ability to change and attenuate educational programming to enhance a student's opportunity to understand and learn. Technology to replace teachers in these financially troubled times ignores the reality of the human element in education. Elevating that as a priority is not the way to elevate the standing of education in Idaho.
1 minute, Pat.
I'm asking this committee to have deference to the years those educators like myself have given to this profession. Please don't demean the importance of teachers in the classroom. Please don't believe that virtual education is anything different than what the name implies, to be seemingly but not really there. Please dedicate the limited amount of financial resources to the continued integrity of teachers who dedicated their careers to the students of each new day, to instill learning through guidance, patience, compassion, and understanding. And more importantly, to pass on those lessons of hard work, moral integrity, and dedication by their own example. Thank you for this hearing on funding for education. And for future reference, 3 minutes is the time it takes to soft boil an egg, not express an opinion from a lifetime in teaching. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Steve Smiley. I'm here today as an individual and also as a member of the Salvation Army Advisory Board. I just want to tell my esteemed former colleagues that there is life after you leave this place, and some of it is awfully good. I'm coming here today, Madam Chairman, members of the committee, to just ask something very, very simple. I'm asking you to restore that single $500,000 line item for the programs for expectant and delivered mothers. This is a program that has been around for a number of years. You've already heard from Captain Stinnett. I'm not going to replow that ground. Just to point out that this is something, there's a truism in government, Madam Chairman. When a program doesn't work, we tend to want to throw more money at it to hope to make it work. But when a program for over 40 years has quietly worked and been successful, well, I guess we don't need it anymore. And this is a program that addresses one of the most vulnerable segments of our society, these young girls that find themselves in this situation. And this program has been highly effective, 85 to 90% success rate, as opposed to if these girls are on their own, it's a 50% dropout rate and an 80% poverty rate. And I did pass out a piece of paper. I won't read that to you. The numbers are there. By spending this little bit of money on a program that delivers these specific services in a very, very economic way, because the Army actually provides many of the social services, they provide the facilities. All the state needs to do is provide the teachers. It is a win-win for everyone, and we really risk losing this wonderful program.
1 minute, Steve.
Thank you. We really risk losing this very, very effective program with a proven track record of success and replacing it with, well, I don't know. These students aren't going to go away. The need is not going to magically stop being there because we've stopped funding it. I'm just asking, Madam Chairman, members of the committee, that you simply restore that one line item. By spending that money, you'll save the state $1 million a year. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ryan Kirby, Kimberly Herridge, Meredith St. Clair, Caitlin Howell, Sherry Wood, Lisa Howells. And Mr. Kirby, you're up first.
Thank you. Madam Chairman, members of the committees. My name is Ryan Kirby. I'm the superintendent in New Plymouth. A piece of data I believe we need to address is that Idaho is 50th in the nation in percent of high school graduates going on to college, and also in last place for students then staying in college for the second year. I believe this is a serious matter. I support the financial aspects of Superintendent Luna's plan with a couple of modifications and feel it will improve the aforementioned data. Online courses. More college courses each year are online, and college students also use Blackboard or something like it for many of their classes. Having students familiar and comfortable with those when they leave high school would help with the transition to college. However, we think 2 online classes during the 4 years rather than 8 would provide sufficient familiarity with the process, help improve time management skills, and so on. Most of our students say they prefer face-to-face learning. Another problem with 8 online semester courses is that it would have a significant negative effect on electives like band, choir, and ag. Every student in a class having a laptop. We have a former Idaho Teacher of the Year in New Plymouth. She has a computer for each of the students in her room and has told me that is technology heaven on earth. There are hundreds of excellent interactive sites for students in science, history, language, art, and other subjects. She showed me an interactive site on the periodic table of the elements. Fascinating. She said her kids not only enjoy this type of learning, but have higher level discussions, and by discovering things themselves, they remember them longer. Performance pay. Even in a bleak economic climate, this part of the plan gives teachers throughout Idaho an average of $2,000 the first year and $3,000 the second and following years. I cannot see begrudging our teachers this money, especially our younger people with young families making $30,000, $32,000, $35,000 per year. I was on the committee that wrote the Pay for Performance plan, along with folks from every stakeholder group.
1 minute, sir.
Thank you. And I'm confident it will not only provide our hardworking educators additional pay, but that it will increase student learning and better prepare students for college, the armed forces, or the workplace. The $24 million classroom tech line item. Knowing that some of our classrooms already have a fair amount of technology and that some other teachers don't want more technology right now, after we equip the high schools with Wi-Fi, we could expand the State Department Teacher Technology Grant Program, then move the savings down to replace at least some of the discretionary funds we will be losing since we'll have fewer units with this plan. We do not want more furloughs days next year than we have this year. With those modifications, I firmly believe we need to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kimberly.
Good morning, Madam Chairman, Senator Cameron, members of the committee, and fellow citizens. My name is Kim Herridge. I reside here in Boise, Idaho. I come before you today with a stomach full of nerves and a heart full of pleas. I come before you as a parent and as a concerned citizen for the future of Idaho, our children. On Superintendent Luna's webpage, he speaks of a goal to offer parents more quality choices in the education of their children. I appreciate and truly value the ability to choose what is best for my child. I respect the decision other parents have made in enrolling their children in online education, but my husband and I have chosen traditional neighborhood schools for ours, in which they are thriving. I feel that this proposal is completely opposite of offering more choices. It is instead taking them away. My husband and I do not want this for our children. An online course will never replace what my kids learn in the classroom every day. Teaching is an art that is only partly curriculum. It is the ability to look at a class of puzzled faces and say, okay, let's expand on that and apply the lessons to everyday life. It is knowing when to push a kid to their maximum potential and when to take a step back. Teaching is having a group of diverse personalities and backgrounds and creating an environment where everyone feels safe. It is creating a curiosity that leads a student to raise their hand and ask why. Teaching is empowering children to think and act on the problems of this world that they are inheriting. Teaching is taking the news of tragedies and demonstrating compassion. It is the continual nurturing of the development of morality and character in our kids so that when they grow up, they have the ability to appropriately communicate and solve problems with others. I can teach my kids to memorize facts on my own, but the rest requires a village. In a conversation with my youngest daughter's teacher last year, the teacher told me that my daughter is a global thinker. She said when she called Brenna to her desk to ask about an incorrect answer, and Brenna explained it to her, it was right. Not only did she understand the question, but she was 2 steps ahead. Tell me how a computer is going to have that kind of conversation with my daughter. A couple of months ago, my 7th grader was coming home really upset with how some kids were starting to think it was cool to not do their homework. It really bothered her that they didn't seem to care. And at the same time, I could sense where she was starting to feel like a odd duck. I encouraged her like any mother would about how someday she was going to reap the rewards of what she has sown. This satisfied her for the moment. Then one day she came home, running to the door with a smile from ear to ear and said, "Mom, guess what Mr. Clifford said to me today in front of everyone? He said, 'Bailey, I cannot wait to see how you are going to be contributing to society one day.'" I wouldn't trade those words to my daughter for any dollar amount. Those words that encouraged her and reminded her of why she puts what she does into her work. I guarantee you she will never forget. How is a computer going to do that? So my plea for all of you here is to take a minute right now and again as you leave here this afternoon and think about the teachers that you had and how they have impacted your life. Think of those that have shaped you to be the people that you are today. Think of those that have nurtured the learning spirit in your children and tell me how a computer is going to do that. Please don't take away my choice.
Thank you very much. Meredith?
Thank you, members of the committee and Madam Chairman. Thank you for allowing me to present my testimony regarding the plan for educational reform. My name is Dr. Meredith St. Clair. I work in the Boise School District and took a much coveted personal day to stand here like you, a public service wanting the best for our community and the great state of Idaho. There's going to be winners and losers in this budget-making process, with it all depending on the impact that the decisions you make. The portion of the current proposed education plan that I believe will have the greatest negative impact on our students is the increased class sizes in mandatory online classes. My focus today is going to be the difference between the connection in hitting the connect button on that key on the laptop and making a connection with a caring person in the classroom. Now, behind me this morning are the many students that I'm representing, the invisible students, the ones who for many reasons are not going to aspire to be the educated, employed, contributing citizens of our state if the current plan is realized. John, 14, lives in a trailer with grandparents and parents who are released from incarceration, no employability skills, are receiving Social Security and welfare, has been truant over 40% of the time from regular school, needs education, modeling, and practice with hygiene, health care, understanding the importance of being on time, and being self-responsible. Needs that must be met by a caring individual face-to-face for academic success and future employability. Mary lives with dad, unemployed, mom left at birth, depression, suicidal tendencies, weapon offense at school, diagnosed schizophrenic paranoid, average attendance, socially maladjusted, needs that need to be met by a caring individual one-on-one in a classroom situation. Joe, age 12, several foster homes, physically abused, attachment disorder, doesn't know how to express appropriate social skills with peers and adults, needs that must be met one-on-one with a caring individual for academic success and future employability.
1 minute, please.
These students are not overt problems. They're the invisible students who can easily be overlooked in an overfull classroom, buying into other overt behavior problems, or simply overwhelmed. They disappear and quit attending. Maybe that's what we want. Our test scores will go up. Do we want to create students like this who will create a situation that can be dangerous to themselves and others? Lastly, did you know that we are at an all-time high with juveniles being sentenced to the Ada County Adult Jail? We're not talking about juvenile detention here. I serve students, in addition to my regular job, that are juveniles or on an IEP and are being held in Ada County Adult Jail. I have over 10 at the moment. Meet Tom, 16, turned 16 the day after Christmas, has been in jail since June, was recently sentenced to 5 years minimum, 10 years maximum in prison. He's going to get out with a felony record, no job experience, and questionable employability
Thank
skills.
you so much.
He needs to connect with an adult.
Thank you. I'm sorry to